welcome to the Introduction to Symbolic Logic. So depending on what you've enrolled in, this is either Logic and Philosophy of Science 30, Philosophy 30, or Language Science 30. In any of these cases, welcome. So as I said in my email to you all, or in my Canvas announcement, this will be our one and probably only whole class meeting synchronously. So the rest of the material of this course should be available asynchronously to you. But I did want us to meet once at least to introduce ourselves, and I'll briefly review what the structure of this course will be like. I'll go over a little bit about how to succeed in this course and take any questions that you might have. And then we'll be in small groups to introduce ourselves to one another until 8 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, there's a student representative from the California Public Interest Research Group that's going to come and chat with you all briefly. I hope that will end a little bit early, so we won't need the full time. Okay, so I'm your instructor for this course. My name is Helen Mesquita. You can please refer to me as Helen, or you can call me Professor Helen if you really want. I don't yet have a doctorate, so Dr. Helen won't actually be accurate, but you can call me Helen, that's fine. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and to give you a bit of background on my research. So I'm in the Logic and Philosophy of Science department. I do philosophy of physics research, and if anybody cares to hear what that's like, so some of the stuff I work on is with respect to simulations in astrophysics. I research how to make them more reliable, whether or not we can get explanations out of machine learning. But my more recent research direction has actually been on foundations of gravitational theories, and if we can take curvature as described by our best theory of gravity and turn it into twisting. So that's been what I've been working on recently. Some of my hobbies outside of work, I like to rock climb, so if you're into that, we can chat during office hours if you like about it. I will let my TA Josiah introduce himself now and switch my screen sharing while he does that.
Everyone, I'm Josiah. I'm your TA, and I'm also a grad student in Logic and Philosophy of Science. My areas are in mathematical logic and philosophy of math. I'm early on in the program, so we'll see what research I actually end up doing. Right now, it's just sort of like combining some different areas of mathematical logic, which are called set theory and category theory, respectively. So I would be very happy to talk about that during office hours if you want to come do that, if it interests you. Yeah, for hobbies, I mean, in the middle of the pandemic, debatable whether I have any. I read and I listen to a lot of music. And if we were in non-pandemic times, I'd be outside a lot more biking. So, I mean, I suppose I could do that, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to work through the syllabus pretty quickly. So this is the syllabus as it is on Carnap. You also have access to the syllabus as it is on campus. They should be identical. Okay, so welcome to Symbolic Logic. The goal of this course is to give you the formal tools for evaluating arguments and to give you a lot of practice using these tools. We're going to learn how to translate sentences, as in English sentences, into the language of symbolic logic, and then learn the rules for manipulating them once they're in that language to determine what they entail. By the end of this course, you will be able to employ this language of symbolic logic and understand its limitations. I'll touch on this even briefly in the first few lecture videos. The idea here is like, when are the tools of deductive reasoning appropriate? When might tools like inductive reasoning be more appropriate? Stuff like that. This course, as I'm sure you all know, fulfills a GE requirement of formal reasoning. That means, I think, for us, that we need to do a lot of practice with using formal reasoning, as in we need a lot of practice with using the tools of symbolic logic, and we'll do a lot of that through Carnap. The skills that we learn in this course are cumulative, and they include the following. So we're going to start with basic translations of arguments and English sentences into well-formed formulas of symbolic logic. That means we have to learn the rules of what counts as a well-formed formula, etc. Then we're going to evaluate the validity of these arguments in sentential logic using truth tables. Then we'll turn to deductive validity in sentential logic using a Fitch-style natural deduction system. So this will be like the first half of the class, and then we'll move from what's called sentential logic into quantified logic. So with quantified logic, we'll be able to talk about members of sets and all of the elements of sets and stuff like that. If all of this is not making any sense to you right now, that's totally fine. That's the point of the class. We're going to learn what this all means. So the next modules will be learning map models, Venn diagrams, and arrow models to evaluate arguments in quantified logic. And then we'll return back to the Fitch-style natural deduction system, but for quantified logic, and learn some additional rules for using it for quantified logic there. I'm going to briefly come back to how to succeed in this course, so I'll skip this part. So you already know I'm your instructor, Josiah is your TA. My office hours, I'm just going to schedule them during this slot. So you all should be free during this slot because you would have otherwise had class. So office hours 7 to 8:20, Monday, Wednesday on this Zoom call. The 7:50 to 8:20 are bookable in 10-minute slots. So I'll talk about this briefly when I talk about office hours a little bit more in a second. The required text of the course is the Shomes outline, so you all should have a copy of this. I'll be posting what parts of the reading to look at for each of the videos if you'd like additional help with them. Supplemental texts. So the first one is this book For All X. This is available online for free, so you can just flip through it if you need any help understanding certain concepts or whatever. You can look through it. I'll also be posting if there's relevant passages in the supplemental text alongside the videos. And then The Art of Logic in a Logical World. This one's a more casual read, but I think it does a really nice job of explaining the use and limitations of formal reasoning and mathematical reasoning. Many of you are already on the course Discord, but for those of you who aren't, you can enroll in it or join it by clicking this link here. If you don't already know, it's just a platform where you can voice or text chat with other people. I hope that it can give us some sense of community even amidst isolation. So feel free to ask any kinds of questions that you want there. So logistical questions, content questions, corrections to things where I've made mistakes on the Carnet page are totally welcome as well. I'll be monitoring it regularly, as I hope Josiah will too. But just know that all important course information will be communicated through Canvas. So it's an optional venue if you want it, but you don't have to join it. Okay, any questions? Cool. Feel free to also chat your questions if you'd like. Okay, so as I've already said, most of or all of the content for the class will be delivered asynchronously. Oh. So this depends. If you're more of like a I want to see it and then refer to the text kind of person, you can feel free to watch the video and then refer to the text afterwards. If you're a I want to see it, I want to read it for myself and figure out what's going on kind of person, you can feel free to read it. If you're not sure which kind of person you are, you can test out and see how it goes. My general preference is that you skim through the reading, watch the video, and then refer back to the reading to make sure that you really got it. I think that would be the most successful. And then you can contact me and Josiah through Discord or through email. I'm fine with either. Josiah, do you have a preference?
Both are fine, yeah.
So either one. If it's quick and short, you can just do it on Discord if you want. Cool. Thanks, Jasmine. Other questions before I talk about structure? Cool. Okay, so most of everything will be asynchronous, so I'll be posting lecture videos. They'll be on Carnap, and then I'll use this slot Monday, Wednesday, 7 to 8:20 for office hours. I'll have general office hours with anybody that wants to show up for the first 50 minutes. And then from 7:50 to 8:20, I'll have 3 10-minute bookable office hours, which you can book on this link here. It just takes you to my Google Calendar. I think it should show if other people have booked the office hour. It like won't display it anymore. So you can see that for Wednesday, there's 2 that are available. Okay, and again, like you can use the office hours however you like. So if you want to just chat, you might come to the 50-minute general ones. If you have a grade related issue, I would suggest maybe one of the 10-minute slots would be more appropriate. The content for the course will be broken into 4 main and 2 supplemental modules. So the 4 main modules correspond to the 4 parts that I outlined earlier. So I'll scroll up and show you. So evaluating validity using truth tables, module 1. Evaluating validity using the natural deduction system, module 2. Evaluating validity using models in quantified logic, module 3. And evaluating validity using natural deduction in quantified logic, module 4. So after those 4 modules, we'll have 2 supplemental modules, and this will be in lieu of a final exam. We'll have 4 modules posted, and you pick 2, and then you just complete the assignments. They'll be a lot shorter than the like normal class modules, and they'll be on cool stuff like fuzzy logic or modal logic. So we hope that that'll be interesting to you once we get there. So weekly, the course looks like this. I'll post a bunch of videos and there'll be exercises underneath the videos. You can already see this on the Carnap page for those of you who have already enrolled there. And then at the end of the week, there'll be a thing called practice problems. So it'll be like week 1 practice problems, and that'll be the assignment for the week. So after you've watched all the videos, you can move to the practice problems and complete that. Carnap should indicate to you that that is assigned to you. And so it'll tell you that it's due at the end of the week. So you have one due at the end of this week, for example. These will be graded based on completion. So you'll just get you can check your answers. You can submit them multiple times. The point is just that you do the exercises, and they'll be due Fridays at 5 p.m. Additionally, there'll be a reflection for that week's practice problems due on Canvas, and this will be due 1 day later. So you'll have an extra day to complete the reflection, but it's due on Canvas because there's no good way for me to assign you a reflection on Carnap. At the end of the module, there'll be a problem set due that will cover all of the material of that module, which means that there'll be 4 of them because we have 4 main modules for the class. These will be due Fridays at 5 p.m., just like the weekly practice problems. But unlike the ones on Carnap, you'll have to actually write out everything. So you can either print it and then fill it in and scan it with a phone scanning app, or you can complete it on a tablet. If you can't do either of these, email me and we can work something out. To note, so some weeks you'll have both practice problems and a problem set due on the same day. This just means you should start planning how you do the problem set a little bit earlier on, just to make sure you have enough time for all of it. But I will also say that 2 of your weekly practice assignments will be dropped, the 2 lowest grades. So you'll have 8 of them, but the lowest 2 will be dropped. So if you miss 2, that's okay. So your grade will be broken down like this. So 60% will be the problem sets, which means that each of them are 15%. And then 30% will be those weekly assignments, 5% each. 80% is based on the completion of the problem set on Carnap, and then 20% of the total grade will be the reflection that you later submit on Canvas. And then 10% of your final grade will be the final exam equivalent, where you will complete 2 supplemental modules of 4 options. I'm really flexible in terms of like a late policy or anything like that. So I'll accept anything within 24 hours with no penalty. If you need more than 24 hours, contact me, contact Josiah. We can work something out. You just have to let us know within 24 hours of the due date. So it's not like I totally forgot, but like I can't get it done quite in time. If you don't contact us, we will deduct points for each additional day that it's late. It'll be 10%. We won't consider regrades for anything except the problem sets. I hope that is obvious. The other stuff is graded on completion, so you don't need a regrade for it. And if you do want to regrade for a problem set, you'll have to submit an explanation of why you would like that within 72 hours of getting the grade. Um, Nothing new in course policies. Any violation of academic integrity will get you an F in the course. I'll just note that you'll be tempted to work on the problem sets in groups. That is okay. If you want to work with a partner, that's okay. The main thing is that you should individually each submit a problem set, and they shouldn't look identical. So you can work together, but just make sure that you're doing your own work. Especially in these times, your well-being and success in this course are really important to me. I think if you do all the assignments in the course, it should be very easy to succeed in it. But if you have any particular needs or concerns about the structure of the course, please let me know. Visit me in office hours. We can arrange a time to chat, etc. And if you need anything arranged with the DSC, please do go ahead and do that. Finally, if you have any name or pronoun you'd prefer, let me know so that I can refer to you correctly, perhaps during my office hours if you come to those. Okay, any questions about course structure or logistics? Yes. The answer to the chat question is everything except the problem sets graded on completion. Yes, but no, problem sets are 60% of your grade, so they're the majority of your grade. Which means that you really do want to do well, even if it is graded on completion. You want to give it like your full effort as you're going through the practice problems. Other questions? Okay. So I hope that you all are now enrolled on the Carnap site. So please do use your UCI email so that we can have an easy time connecting you on Carnap with you on campus and thus giving you a grade. Otherwise, we can't actually give you a grade because we won't know which student you are. It is my first time using Carnap, which means that there's going to be a lot of weird kinks to work out. I apologize for this in advance, but I think that the ability to do a lot of practice is really great, and I think it's only really possible by using something like Carnap. So I'll have a video for each new type of exercise that we encounter. I've already made one, for example, for translations, so I hope that those will help a little bit. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on email, on Discord, etc. One thing that I'll note is that Carnap will not show you what you've already submitted. So it won't be like, oh, you've already done this problem in the practice problems. You don't have to do it again. So either do it all in one sitting or write down how many problems you've already done or keep some kind of track record of what you've done from the weekly practice problems. I can see what you've done. So if it really comes to it, I can tell you, like you can email me and I'll just tell you, oh, you already did problems 1 through 5. So it'll save your work. It just won't show you what you've already done, if that makes sense. Okay, and then finally, there's just a little thing about typing the connectives, the logical connectives, if you need to refer to that later on. The last thing that I wanted to talk about before I break you all into small groups is how to be successful in this class and how to approach symbolic logic generally or logic generally. So here's my tagline, reflective, deliberate practice. So I'm against memorizing because I find it very hard. I have a really hard time with just straight memorizing things. So what I want us to keep in mind is internalizing instead of memorizing. So we want to internalize truth tables and make them part of just things that we know without having to memorize it, which means that we need a lot of practice with using it, and then it sort of becomes second nature. So instead of like flashcards and memorizing, your truth tables, I'd much prefer that you just do a bunch of practice problems with truth tables, and then you have like a reflective knowledge of it. Like you can just recite truth tables easily because you've internalized them. But to do this, you need a lot of practice. And in fact, you need this sort of deliberate practice where you're continuously asking yourself, you're checking your understanding about what you're learning, you're asking yourself why such and such is the case. You're not just chugging through the truth table, but you're really thinking about why certain things are true at the start. And then once you've internalized it, you sort of know why things are true. That's the idea. Um, but even this kind of practice, I don't think is enough. I think we also need to reflect on our practice. So after we've done it, we can reflect back on which problems were harder, which were easier, what you struggled with, what you found easy, etc. So that's why I'm including these reflection exercises after your practice problems are due and after your problem sets are due. So it'll get you in the practice, or it'll make you do these reflections early on, and then as things become harder, you'll already have this reflection skill, and you'll be able to easily deploy it when the problems become harder and the proofs become harder, and then you have to think through proof strategies and how to approach the problem. You'll already have developed this reflection skill. So that's why I'm having you do these reflection exercises. Besides this class, I think reflection is a great skill for you to have like going forward in your life with other disciplines as well as with a future job. So I hope that you'll see it that way. If not, there are some questions that I ask on the reflections that you might choose that are a little bit less directly about the problem. So you'll be able to extend your knowledge and that kind of thing with the reflection prompts on Canvas.